Joey! Joey! Joey!
How'd you go after that? A lot of times I hear politicians, when they introduce themselves, they say, my name is Honorable so-and-so. And I always say, no, you are not born with the name Honorable, it's just a title. My name is Winnie, and I am so very honored to be here in front of all of you today. People I've looked up to my whole life, I've learned from, I've respected, and that have helped shape and move this country forward. So thank you very much for having me here today. I didn't know that today was in honor of Raila Odinga. The letter I was sent was give a speech kind of about him, but I didn't know the whole thing was about him. So if my speech is a bit off, I'm going to try my best. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, political titans, stalwarts of civil society, and a special shout out to the future leaders in the room, the young Kenyans. A very good afternoon to you all. Before Honorable Kiraitu left, I wanted to tell him a story. Honorable Kiraitu actually knew me before I knew him. I was in kindergarten here in Nairobi, and all of a sudden the students stopped calling me Winnie. They started calling me Winnie Odinga. And that thing used to irritate me, because they also used to say it like that. And shortly I found out there was another Winnie in the other class, but we didn't know who this Winnie was. So one day my mother was picking me up, and Kiraitu himself came to pick up his daughter. And my mother said, "Oh, you're Baba Winnie." And he said back, yeah, so you're the Mama Winnie. And that was a very good friend of mine. Her name is Winnie McKenna. Today we gather not just to reflect on the legacy of the late Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, a man who not only dreamt of democracy, but was also brave enough to wake up every morning to fight for it. In honoring Baba, as we fondly called him, we're reminded that he had a rare quality of being both profound, but yet approachable. He had that unique ability to challenge a great dictator and charm a drunken cat. I always thought he must have had a hidden career as an acrobat, because he would leap effortlessly from an office to dancing in stage in a matter of minutes. On this International Human Rights Day, our theme is all human, all equal. It's a very beautiful sentiment when we shout it from the rooftops. However, I often wonder how many of us truly integrate it into our lives. Let's be honest, sometimes we forget that all humans are indeed equal, especially in this country when it comes to simple things like queuing up for services or prioritizing whose voice matters when it comes to decision making. Our democracy should reflect this ethos, and yet, as we semi-joke about it, we must acknowledge the serious tensions currently simmering beneath the surface of our nation. I call it, we're going through a crisis of generations, where young people are not being allowed to define their future, and older generations seemingly switch the goalposts whenever we get near it. I feel we have a crisis of culture, a crisis of religion, of tradition versus technology, sort of war in our society. We have a society where men and women still are not quite equal, even when we talk about that. Where a young woman from Bondo can ask a simple question in Mombasa, and they say it's disrespect, but a man can ask the same question in not as polite a manner, and they say it's leadership. See, the Kenyan youth do not live in Kenya. My mother, she watches the news. We always joke, the only thing she watches is the news. I, on the other hand, never watch Kenyan news. I'm physically present in Kenya, but I join my colleagues online. These young people are exposed to a world where they are told they are enough, that they are smart enough, they are strong enough, and what they say and think matters. When some of you have an issue with your phone, you always ask a young person around you to fix it. They do it in 1 minute. I'll tell you today, that thing irritates them. Because that's not all they are good for. They can do many things in 1 minute that may take you a bit longer time. So we need to give them a little bit more space. In 2025, we have witnessed a kaleidoscope of events. Youth-led movements demanding accountability. Our regional neighborhood here is not quite like us. There's been public outcry for reforms and a palpable sense of fatigue with governance that feels more like a game of musical chairs than a platform for true participation. But fear not, for the absence of change is where inspiration begins. And that is precisely where Baba thrived. He believed that passion could shake the walls of our political history, challenge the status quo, and remind us that democracy is not just a political system, but a way of life woven into the fabric of our society. Raila Odinga was a man who understood that leadership was derived from the will of the people and not the will of its leaders. He used to say, leadership isn't about a title. It's about showing up every day, fighting for what is right, and lifting others as you climb. And lift he did. From pushing for multi-party democracy to championing the rights of every Kenyan, he stood firm in the belief that every voice counts. Isn't it ironic, though, that the very people Raila fought for sometimes questioned his methods? Some called him a radical. I prefer to say that he was a dreamer, a visionary who dared to walk where others hesitated because he envisioned a future where no one was left behind. In his memory, we've been tasked with the responsibility not just to dream the future, but to shape it. So what lessons can we draw from Baba's life? First, the change is absolutely possible, but it comes with a heavy dose of courage, persistence, and let's not forget a sprinkle of humor to lighten those heavy moments. The other day I watched a video of him when he was trying to enter the DCI office. And the officer at the gate told him, I think, Mheshimiwa, you were there. The officer at the gate told him that he can't enter. And Baba turned it into a soap opera. He first tilted his head, raised his eyebrow and asked, why not? When the officer stood firm, Baba switched gears and started a charming protest demanding access to the public office. That officer did not back down, but neither did Baba. He threatened to rally a crowd to bring down the gate. As I watched this video, I could hear him say 3 things. He always used to say, procedure first, pressure second, then we take action. Later, as we shared a laugh over the social media storm that followed, he was crying with laughter, saying, you must learn to laugh at yourself. It means you take yourself less seriously. If only we could apply that wisdom at the national governance level in Kenya. In Kenya, institutions work together like a family during a heated dinner. Lots of shouting, some staring, and when all else fails, people storm out to their different rooms. Even the president sometimes admits to us that he feels shackled by the behemoth of bureaucracy. People are often afraid of change. They fight against it. It's like they're protecting that last piece of cake at a birthday party. But sometimes, just a sprinkle of Baba's humor and charm can turn a full-blown war into a friendly game of kati, for example. Let's take that lesson to heart. Let's embrace humor while changing the norms. Secondly, bullets don't bring smiles. We are all human. We are all equal. And I really beseech the members of this civil society to bring the 2 sides of this divided nation together. And the 2 sides I'm speaking are not political sides. I'm speaking of the 2 generational ones. The table that I speak of is not for lip service, but for future planning. Many older generations insist they are building us a house. And the young people are saying, build it, that's fine. But we have some thoughts on the design, because we will be the future occupants of that house. So you don't have to build us a telephone room with a landline. Just give us a Wi-Fi. We'll be good with that. We want to work together in this. But the same principle is also comes when you tell them to go vote. And we're talking, people are not registering to vote. Because we've shown them that we don't care whether they do or they don't. So we have a crisis here. And these young people are angry. They're not trying to burn down the house. They just want to be listened to. Some are fighting for inclusion. Some will go to the streets. But the more worrying thing is that most have checked out of the game. They will not participate in a game that is not equal. So we can't have a society like that, where some participate and others couldn't be bothered, or they're too afraid, they'll be abducted, they'll be killed. Even if they vote, it will be stolen. We cannot live in a society like that. Oftentimes, I hear, especially men, they like to say this. They always have an analogy of how Simba, mtoto wa Simba ni Simba, or something, anything to do with an animal, they always say that. You know, and yani, I don't know what, they always have something. But we are not animals. We're human beings in an equal society with equal members, both male, female, and we both have to participate in society. After all, human rights aren't just policies written on nice paper. They are meant to be lived and breathed. So it's time to swap the lip service for some real action. Let's stop tiptoeing around uncomfortable truths and instead tackle them head on. I think you may have seen me these past few weeks not tiptoeing. When you guys have to put your gumboots and kick through with me. We have to do this armed with wit and grace. Because when we engage in the pursuit of equality with a smile, we not only lighten the load that we carry, but we also invite other people to join the journey with us. After all, who wouldn't want to march towards justice without a sense of humor? Let's make our fight for human rights as infectious as a good laugh. It cannot be bullets, blood, and tears every time. Because if we're going to change this country, then we need to talk. And we might as well do it with a smile. But you guys smile first, you know. Us young guys, we're not for jokes. That smile is just politeness, not that actually we're joking here. We're also serious. In conclusion, let us celebrate the life of Raila Odinga, my father, your father, his laughter, his wisdom, and his unyielding commitment to democracy and human rights. As we move forward, let's channel his spirit, a spirit that reminds us that the future is bright as long as we make it brighter together. Thank you, and may we carry the torch of democracy with pride, resilience, and a touch of humor. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Winnie, thank you. Yeah, you speak very well. You are always inspiring. Even for somebody of my age, I feel very inspired when I listen to you. So the inspiration I think flows both ways. It flows